Hola, amazing friends. If you are wanting to write your soul book, if you are feeling called to any kind of like spiritual writing, writing your memoir, writing like what I call your soul book, like the book that has been within you forever, or maybe you're not a writer or creative, maybe you just want to take your power back. This week's episode is definitely for you. It is going to be so amazing, and I cannot wait to get into what I have called and was downloaded to term spirit writing. I am Brandi Marsky. I am your host of the Woke Art, Love, and Woke Magic podcast, and I am so excited to share kind of what has been divinely downloaded from and through the process of me writing not just like these books. I have a new book coming out August 15th, not just through my writing praxis and not through just this book that I'm pitching to Hay House. What has really kind of been at the core of who I am as an artist, as a writer, is this idea of writing a soul book, writing from my soul, writing in collaboration with spirit, with divine guidance, and using that as a tool to really reclaim my power, because there are so many instances throughout the day where we abdicate, like we give away our power, whether that's to mindless scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, or now Threads, which I'm kind of obsessed with as a writer, but just don't tell anybody, or watching TV, like just, going into this mindless, zombie-esque kind of mode where we're not really in our bodies, we're disassociated from it. That's a way that we give away our power. Or maybe it's, maybe it's our kids or our partner. We're having to get them ready and we're having to do these things for them that we don't really have or make time for us. And one of the things that I have learned through my whole career as an artist, as a creative, is that not only do we make time for the things that are really, really important to us, but if we make time for art, if we make time for our spiritual praxis, that in and of itself has so much fodder, has so much tofu, like goodness in it, that it will transfer into the rest of it will seep into the rest of your life and really kind of like magnify and amplify that up. And if we can get ourselves like in this space of fully expressing what it is in alignment to like our purpose and our what we want to do with our lives, what we feel called to do with our lives, and also in a way that is so deeply authentic in us, that has the power to not just change your life, because going through that is in itself a transformative, transmutive experience, but it has the power to transform the world. And that was just like a little diatribe that wanted to come out. But this is really about this idea of reclaiming your power, reclaiming your time and space in a way that is in radical alignment with the universe, with who you are, and also what is wanting to call forth and be expressed from you. So this was downloaded to me as I've been in the process of writing the last few books, but also the book that I'm pitching to Hay House. And I've really kind of been writing, and this is true for really anything that I write. It is in collaboration with spirit. It is in collaboration with the divine. It's not me coming to the paper and saying, this is what I'm going to write. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to outline it. It really has been a dance. And that's really what I want to introduce you to today, is how do we start to create that relationship with spirit in a way that we become like a vessel and channel for it. And so when I think about spirit writing, I think about spirit is really like it's communicating, it's channeling, it's writing with your soul and in communication with the divine. It is that dance. It is that kind of clearing out and cleansing out of your vessel and allowing what wants to move through you. And I've heard this in called like automatic writing or free writing, and it is both and all, but it's also super nuanced, and it's a nuance that I'll get into in the praxis portal, which is going to be all about spirit writing. It's coming out in the fall. I'll link to it below. It's really going to be about writing sacred tomes, journaling, all this kind of writing from the soul, writing from the source, writing from your spirit, and spirit writing. But what I really want to share with you today is the process that I take myself through when I want to get into alignment with the universe so that I can then channel what wants to be channeled through me. So, what I do traditionally, I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. How I really practice this is first I have to be what I call a tabula rasa, right? Like I have to be in a state of receptivity. And the thing that traditionally gets me there is meditation. Also, prior to meditation, it is what Julia Cameron calls morning pages. And those two things are really big. And then my daily card pull, those three things are three really big tools that I use to kind of wash myself of anything that I might have been carrying with me from the day before, from my dream life. And I use those three things to kind of cleanse my palette, to really create like a foundation in which I can be receptive and not so much in my head about what I need to do for the day. I can really just be present with what wants to come through. And so that's really how I prepare myself whenever I want to write with spirit, which is really all my writing praxis, right? This is how I've learned that this is where my best writing comes from, is when I move out of the way and I really let it become a dance and co-collaboration with the universe, which is really kind of interesting that this podcast is coming out in July, because our card for the month is the Two of Cups. So if you haven't already listened to your monthly reading, or if you're just popping into this podcast maybe 10 years down the line, I want to invite you to listen to this Two of Cups, because this is a reading that you need right now, no matter it defies space time, linear time. And so I'll also link that below, because there's a lot of the essence of what spirit writing is in this Two of Cups reading that I shared for the month of July, but is pertinent to whenever you are listening to this cast, whatever moment in time. So I get myself cleansed. I cleanse, my body, my mind. I create that line of communication with spirit via my daily card pull. And then what I do is I just close my eyes. I take a few deep breaths. Sometimes I'll make some noise or releasing just like a on the exhale. I do whatever I need to do to get me into that space. And so I close my eyes and I drop into my heart space, and I ask Spirit, Source, God, Great Spirit to be present with me as I walk the path of this book, as I journey down the adventure of this theme and this subject, I ask Spirit to be a partner with me in the creation of this book. And in that, like, I visualize myself opening up my heart space, opening up my solar plexus, really opening up also my root chakra, and opening up all of the energy centers, whether it's the kundalini alignment, whether it's, different energy centers. I feel energy in the palm of my hands, and I really visualize it opening up. So I'm really kind of, I've prepped myself logically. I've prepped myself like cleanse wise. So now what I'm doing is I'm prepping my energy, right? I'm prepping each point in which I feel me personally in contact with the divine. I'm prepping that and I'm opening myself up to that. And again, you have to learn what your spaces and energy centers are that you need to open up to be in divine communion with spirit as you walk the path of a spirit writer. But those are kind of some of my points. It's also the bottom of my feet. Like, I like to really kind of like visualize, and sometimes I'll even physicalize like my feet, like, planting and spreading in the ground. So I really want to invite you as part of this week, to really feel into what are the energy centers. Like, we know, like, the mind, the heart, and the hand, if we're writing by hand or we're crafting by hand, are points of contact to our art and the divine. They're the vehicles in which a thing is going to channel through. But what are your energy points that are also, that need to be open and receptive to spirit so that the art can move through you? So I do that. And then once I'm in that space and I can feel myself open, like I feel myself like in that. And if you need to take some movement, take some movement. I invite my sacred witness to the table. And I'm going to do an entire podcast on sacred witness because I use it a little bit differently than most. But basically what you're doing is you are inviting the part of you that is witness to your life, or that is a observer of what is happening. You invite them to the table. So you've invited spirit. Now you're inviting that part of you who, it's not so much a disassociation, it's like an elongation. So like if I'm here writing, it's like I pull like my energy and my spirit back, and I'm here and I'm sitting in space watching. And so I'm inviting my sacred witness to come in, and then I'm holding, what I do is I hold whatever topic or question or prompt maybe that I'm working on in my head, and I just allow all that to swirl. So for instance, I've just opened myself up. I'm here. I'm in my sacred witness. And so as an example, I'm currently working on the structure of I'm re-outlining the book to feature more of my story and my lineage and ancestry of how I became a fire starter and what it really means to be a sacred leader. And so what I'll do at this point is I will hold that, what it is, I'm wanting to work on, what it is I'm feeling called, like what part of the work or book or email or whatever it is that I'm wanting to write in tandem with spirit. I will hold that. I will let that swirl in my head, inviting the sacred witness to kind of watch and listen and just observe like what floats through your mind. It's almost like a mini meditation, but with a soul prompt, like an intention, an invocation to your mind and spirit and your energy to kind of like push out and pull in. So I'll let all of that, marinate, and then there comes a point when I'm sitting there that I feel like this little ping, sometimes I'll feel it in my body. Like sometimes it's like a little like ping in my stomach. Sometimes it's like a jolt. Sometimes I'll be in this space of like holding what it is I'm working on, inviting spirit in, opening, doing all of this, and I'll feel like my hand just start going and writing. And so what we're really trying to do is that you just want to surrender, release control, and let it flow, which is really the hardest part, right? Like, that is the hardest part to any kind of creativity or decision or life, anything that involves our intuition or that involves spirit, is this concept of letting go, surrendering, and trusting that whatever needs to come out or wants to come out will come out. And so this is when, I'll pick up a pen, I'll pick up a paper, and I do this writing by hand. And I want to implore and like really, really invite you to do it first. When you're practicing spirit writing, do it first hand written, because you've got to get it in your body. You have to know and feel like the nuances of what it is that tells you, okay, spirit's ready, we're ready to start writing. And then write with your hand to feel how it all channels through, right? This isn't just like about getting into that headspace and then going into your computer and typing and then feeling like all of these, electro blue light rays that are coming and disrupting, the energy in the orbit. What you really want to do is you want to keep as much of yourself and your space clear, which is why, especially when you're starting out, I want to invite you to do it by hand. When I first started doing this, it was all by hand, and now I go back and forth. Sometimes it happens when I'm typing and I just let it rip. Sometimes it happens when I'm handwriting, but I've also been practicing and doing this for so long that I know how to keep my energy, to put up boundaries for my energy, so that it holds itself in like this container, an egg, and nothing can impede or approach or pierce it. So I really want to invite you to, those are really all the steps. I really just want to invite you to just get going with your hand and trust yourself to know. Like, a lot of my students, when I teach this, they're like, well, how do I know when to stop? That's like the number one question. And you just know. And the only way that you can just know is that you have to radically know yourself. But not only know yourself, you also have to radically trust yourself. And so those are skills that need to be practiced alongside spirit writing. I wanted to give you the tools in this cast. That way you can see and really feel and sense how it works. This is not just a relationship that you're creating with you and spirit, God, the universe, divine. It's also a relationship that you are creating and honing with yourself. And so the last thing I want to share with this, because I also talked about, it's not just a way to commune with spirit. It's not just a way to like express yourself and write with your soul and write with passion and write your soul book, which is, what I'm currently working on. It's also an invitation to reclaim your power. And and how it relates to power is that you are not turning to outside sources for answers. You are not turning outside of yourself looking for, someone to teach you how to write a book. You're not looking outside for someone to teach you how to structure a book, how to write an essay, how to write an email, how to, create a to-do list or create your schedule. You're not searching outside for answers. You are shutting off the outside. You're turning inward, you're turning inside, you're turning on your heart, your soul, all these lights inside you, and you're opening yourself up to receive. And in that receptivity, there is such a great builder of trust, of self-trust, of trust of your intuition, of trust to your art. It is the most radically up level, glow up thing that you can do for yourself, is really build this relationship and this muscle of turning to yourself versus going outside for answers. And second, it gives you kind of space and time for yourself, right? Part of how we reclaim our power is making space for said power, making space to receive that power, to really feel it and get into it. And again, power is also trust, right? And we do that by building this muscle. And then the third thing is you really get to know your voice, right? You really get to know who you are as a spiritual being having a human experience, right? When you make space to commune with the divine, to open yourself as a channel, to be a vehicle, and then give your space room to explore what wants to come out in that state, you are really becoming and getting to know your authentic voice. And isn't that what we all want, regardless of what modality or work or career that we do? We all want to do it in a way that is so deeply fired up and so deeply us. Authentic, real passion from the soul, from the ganas. Like, we want that in everything we do. And spirit writing is one of the best tools that I have come across and I've implemented that has really moved the needle forward when it comes to reclaiming my power, finding my authentic voice, getting books completed, because it's no longer about me. It is about what wants to be created and brought manifest into this world in communion with the divine. And so I really want to invite you to praxis the 3-4 steps that I shared with you earlier in this video to spirit writing. But I also want to invite you, if you do, like, if this has lit something up in you and if it's resonated with you, I really want to invite you to join the waitlist for the Praxis portal, because this is the first time, I'm so excited that I'm going to be teaching a writing class publicly. And the downloads that I've been receiving about what this spirit writer course wants to be, not just course, not supposed to say that, but there's a course involved, but this whole 3-month experience in a Praxis portal container is just going to be so amazing. So I want to invite you, if you're just even remotely interested and you feel like pings all over your body, sign up for the waitlist. I promise you won't regret it. And I am here to answer any questions that you have about being a spirit writer, about writing your soul book, about developing further that communion with the divine. I love y'all so, so much. And I hope this episode has given you, my spell cast for this episode is that I really want it to be a tool that you return to again and again, that helps you deepen the relationship to the divine, but also helps you get to the heart and the ganas of your own authentic voice. I love you so, so much. Sending you mucho más blessings. Until next week, in Lakesh.